I don't want to leave him,
just stranded.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a couple of weeks before you go, though, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, I think he'll be able to find some help, or just kind of, maybe rearrange some of the employees we have right now temporarily to get them to. I mean, there's only one person that works in the front that has any type of actual kitchen experience, but he might be able to come back and help out. But most of the people that work there, besides me and the other prep cook, are just like these college girls that I don't think they can use a knife, good enough to actually prep out all the food needed for a whole day.
Well, he's going to get $52,000 a year. And thank you, Gary. I will look it over. And plus, he works 2 weeks, 6 days a week, and then gets 2 weeks off, but paid.
No, I'll do 6 weeks of work, then 2 weeks off paid.
Okay.
But I mean, still.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
And it sounds really good.
Yeah. They'll have. It's a brand new company that's contracting with FedEx, so they plan on having insurance soon. It takes a while to get set up, but
if they've got a steady contract, if they got a contract with FedEx, they're legitimate.
I'm just like, if there's some type of freaking COVID outbreak again and things get shut down, FedEx is still going to be up and running, and then the restaurant, who knows what'll happen to that, and I'll just be really upset with myself if that ends up happening.
Well, yeah, and I think the dream is telling you that the dream was, it had the, I don't know, I had all those parts. But the one thing, about your dream last time, where the house just kept getting covered with ice or snow all around it, that I looked that up with people who dream about ice. Marion Woodman lived in Canada, and she said that means that the feelings aren't flowing, that they're dammed up and they're very cold. Now that's consistent with your dream. Remember the one you had before, where there are always these very important things, and it was. What do you think, Charles?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that that's inaccurate. I think I really trust my instinct in as far as that. Just the idea of getting snowed in and being like, I have this window, being able to leave, and that is not where I want to get snowed in at.
Yeah.
That's my cousin Rachel, who is in the dream. She's like a female puer, very much so.
Yeah, and the one thing is you go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I mean, I just think that plays into it too, because she's snowed in there, so to speak, but she doesn't mind. She'll let her parents take care of her for who knows how long.
But, and the fact that your only escape. Hi, Dawn. Your only escape route was the mother. Apparently, whenever your actual mother appears, that's pretty startling. And I think so. What the unconscious is doing is has two levels of mother. One is the mother's sister, and the other one is your mother, who has the room in the hallway that is her secret room, which has the angry people in it. I mean, it's just a idea here is that you're trying to you need to get away from that or something. Hi, Tim. sorry it was so screwed up last time. You know, what
Be
the
home.
problem was, we couldn't get on the internet, and then, well, first we couldn't get out of the hotel or the restaurant. Service was slow. But anyway, I was just saying, we just got home after a 900-mile drive.
Wow.
And I haven't checked to see if anybody's. Why don't we work on Tim's dream here? The one, unless you had another dream, Tim, but I did have some thoughts on the dream that you sent before. See if I can get in.
Sure.
I mean, it started to make sense to me, and I thought maybe if we could do that. Let's see if I can get it. Can you put it in the text, or I can do it?
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, let me get it up here. Otherwise, I have to put my other computer in here, because somehow this computer does not ever load up any of my Word files. Just always comes up with document. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, this is the active modeling surgery. This is the one.
Right.
Okay. Did you want to read it one more time?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me stick it in the chat. So I'm doing an active modeling session with 2 women and a man serving as a witness. We're in the back room and I'm doubled over while they're going to perform some kind of surgery. One woman draws lines on my back and maybe does a ritual extraction or something. The other is hovering and maybe touching my back, but she has to leave early. Later, in a different room, I've been doing several sessions with a man. He comes for another session, and I'm supposed to write him a check, but I can't find my checkbook, nor can I remember this guy's name. I'm looking around for the checkbook, but then he pulls out a large sheet of thin black plastic on which the bank has written a check form, and that I will then sign.
Okay, that's great. Now, I'm going to go through it the way, now, if I seem, I hope I said hi to everybody. We just, drove 900 miles. So if I seem spacey, it's not because I'm, I'm just a little out of it. But anyway, now we're first of all, the names of Tim's dreams are always very important. Active modeling surgery. Okay. And, so let's keep that in mind. Now, we're doing active modeling with 2 women and a man serving as a witness. So there are 4 people, okay? There is 2 women and 2 men, and the man, I would guess the witness, there doesn't seem to be any shadow aspects to him. He's just there, the witness. So he's either the helpful companion, or I think if he's appearing, I don't know. We'll talk about whoever is appearing in the second half of the dream. He could be also the self. So he could either witness
character for me in the active modeling process, it's like the archetype of a relationship. And so the model serves as any example of the other, and the artist serves as the witness. And so
2 aspects of yourself.
Yeah, so what you're doing is you're
second.
witnessing the way you respond to the other person.
That's the second time that occurred. Do you remember that occurred in a dream a couple times ago where there was actually 2 aspects? So there's actually 2 aspects of Tim here. Now there's 2 women. One woman we're closely connected with, and she is the one who is, now first of all, you're in the back room. You're in the storage or the unused area in the back of the house that represents Psyche. So it's in the back room. That dream about my mother when she died, You know, the room and the tree in the front of the house is being moved to the back of the house. That's where she's going to be now. And it sort of represents the unconscious. So we're going into the back, to the most, the thing that's in the farthest away in the back of the house, and it's an unused area. It's just for storage in the back of the psyche. What do you use it for other than storage of boxes?
Well, there is a bed in there. And so every so often, if it gets too hot, I go and sleep there because it's cooler.
It's a little cooler there. But basically, it's sort of a scary room in your house that you don't go into very often.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. And okay, now the dream ego is doubled over. So his head is near the earth, you know, and he is also sort of, he's not erect. So he's sort of almost submitting, you know. I mean, it is, the word to humble yourself means, comes from the word for earth, which is humus, which is where the word human comes from. And it means to, what it used to mean is that you would touch the earth with your forehead, you know. Now remember, there was that dream with Jung and his father, where his father touches the earth with his forehead and asks Jung to do the same thing, and Jung wouldn't do it, you know. But anyway, you're going from this erect, proud posture to at least if anything else, your head is near the earth, you know, and you're not so erect. So it's sort of a submissive pose. Okay, now while they are going to perform surgery, so they, as far as I'm concerned, is the unconscious, is going to perform a removal of some blockage in us that is keeping us separated from them, you know. Now remember, the active modeling surgery is basically, my understanding is, you are going to assimilate the contents of whoever is in the room that you are drawing into yourself. You are going to take their inner essence and you are going to bring it into yourself. Now, isn't that the purpose? Isn't that what you said the purpose was? Yeah. Okay. So now before, they're saying before you can do that, or along with doing that, there is some blockage in you that needs to be ritually extracted. Okay. Now, this is a shamanic practice. It is a practice that has been done for thousands of years, you know, this is the shamanic healer goes in, and what he takes out is a complex, you know. I mean, he basically reaches in and takes out a complex, and it usually has an animal form, you know, but he literally is going in there in vision and removing it, you know. And now, one thing Marie-Louise Vautrans said about Americans, she said that it is impossible to be a grounded American without having the same dreams as the indigenous people who lived there before had, because you're grounded in the landscape that you live in. Now, you are living in Blackfoot territory, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it is a place of shamanic healing medicine. Okay. So this is the healing arts of the shamanic peoples, and you know, the Blackfoot are shamanic people. But anyway, they're doing so in order for us to assimilate the inner essence of unconscious figures in us, who would be the soul, the self, the shadow, or some other daemon in the inner world, to assimilate their inner essence, the unconscious itself needs to go in us and remove some blockage, you know, and the anima is doing it. Now she draws lines on our back. So what she's probably doing is separating the right hand side, the conscious side, from the unconscious side or something. You know, this belongs to ego, this belongs to us, you know. And she's drawing it on your back. She's drawing on, remember, they always say, when you leave Eden, the only way to return to Eden is to return by the river that was at your back when you left. So the fact that the unconscious is performing this on our back, you know, is significant, I think. You know, this is the back door. They're going in through the back door. And it's a symbolic instruction. When you say ritual, that means it has to do with a symbolic aspect. Now, there's one anima aspect who later leaves, but she is not as close to us as this one. And she hovers, but withdraws. She's addressing the unconscious as well. There's two of them. So, but basically the whole idea was 2 women, 2 men. One is probably personality number 2, and one is personality number 1. I think that's what it is. It's the witness.
I wonder if the extra woman isn't also a witness.
Yeah.
Maybe
yes, she could also. She could be the anima figure of the personality number 1 of the more unconscious aspect of ourselves, and the other one is the union of the conscious aspect. But I don't know. I mean, that is just a wild conjecture. So anyway, that's the end of scene 1. Do you have anything else to add to scene 1?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Scene 1. Whenever you have a scene 1, scene 2, the scene 2 is following from what happened in scene 1. Now this shifts. We are with, again, it looks like an unconscious figure in whom we're going to assimilate the inner essence of them into conscious ego. So to me, it's either the self or it's personality number 2, you know, one of the two, but their personality number 2 is in very close communication with the self, is very close to nature, is very close to the body. Okay, it's one with the body, it's one with the ancestral world, and its center of gravity is in the unconscious plane or near the boundary line between conscious and unconscious. You know, now we want to assimilate the inner essence of this unconscious figure who's close to the self, close to the nature, close to the body. You know, is I think also is this. Well, anyway, let's just go. Now we have had several sessions of assimilating these psychic contents. He comes for another session of a meditation that this is actually an active imagination that Tim is going to perform. It's not really an active modeling session. It's active modeling, active imagination. You know, I mean, he's going to be doing an active imagination with an unconscious figure. Now that's exactly the alchemical description of active imagination. You know, a talk with an unconscious figure. But now, we must give him our energy or our attention. See that what the check would represent is our attention, our energy. In return for him, I mean, in other words, we are going to lend our attention and bring to the surface of consciousness and integrate into, make more concrete and real these heretofore unseen forces. Gary, remember your definition of the word fantasi. You know, it means to make the unseen visible. Okay, so to make the unseen visible, we have to lend psychic energy to assimilate the contents of this man. In this active imagination, we have to lend him our attention, which in the dream is represented in the form of a check drawn on our bank. Okay, but we can't find it. We can't pay him in checks drawn on the ego's bank, you know, or something. But he's saying, I have a much more wonderful instrument of paying. And this is now we're going to, I don't know exactly how it would be if, let's read what he describes that negotiable instrument as, because it's pretty interesting how looking at the law of negotiable instruments. He pulls out a large sheet of thin black plastic on which the bank has written a check form that I will then sign. So does he have that from our bank, Tim? Is that drawn? It looks like it's drawn on our bank.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the unconscious says that they are going to draw up the instrument of withdrawal from our bank, which is our attention. Okay, so this seems to have a little more substance. Okay, because it's a cooperative effort between. I mean, we're not just going to give them a check. You know, I tell somebody when I pay for something for them, you know, they said, "Well, I'll pay you back for it," and I said, "Well, just throw a check in my coffin before they close the lid," you know. And, anyway, what is happening here is this: they're drawing up the instrument, so they're very serious about the obligation.
But it's dark energy.
They're very serious about the obligation. You know, they want the obligation to be paid, you know, on their terms. Okay. So, you know, it really is it is an obligation, don't you think? I mean, this is what amazes me, and in myself too. We get sent all these wonderful gifts. What is our obligation? Remember, Charles owes them $20,000, and he says, "I do not owe you that. I don't owe you anything. You know, prove it that I owe it to you. Tell me the procedure." Well, you know, I don't know, but anyway, it's a mysterious instrument, not one that we drop, one that they drop, and it's drawn on now not white paper but black paper. So it is paper. See, white paper is full of ego light. Black paper is not full of ego light. Anything black is lacking the light of ego, and that it's thin and that it is transparent. It's transparent to the depths, you know. You know, where Jung said that the difference between me and everyone else is I'm transparent to the depths, they're opaque. So, I mean, it's just got a few images. I don't know. I mean, I'm a little dizzy, so I'm sorry if it doesn't all fit. Gary, what do you think?
Oh, such a good job, Craig. I don't have a lot to add, but I think I'm primarily interested in the second half of the dream. But to me, it's, you know, it does really feel like a continuation, because it's, you know, the ritual, the surgery has already been done. So, you know, whatever this work is, this is a continuation. And, you know, write him a check, but it's like he isn't interested in the energy transferal that we can provide. So he will specify the nature of the energy transferal that, you know, that will best meet his need for attention. And so, you know, that's why he provides the check, I believe.
It's formalizing the obligation, you know.
Yeah. So like,
terms.
you know, just an incredibly positive dream. And you know, and also I like that in the first part of the dream, I like that the, you know, the sketches are done in the back, because what this is saying is, you know, this is not something that, you know, we see with our ego eyes. This is something that we feel with our senses. So, you know, and you know, and then The only other thing that, I'm like, not sure if we've quite got this or not, but the one woman, does everything and the other hovers, but has to leave early, and that whole has to leave early, there's some significance there, but I'm just missing.
Well,
But
yeah, you had 4 there. Now you have either 2 or 3 left after she leaves.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I got.
All right. Well, one thing that you said was, and I got a question for you, Gary, maybe a question for everybody. First of all, what you said about her drawing. Instead of Tim drawing her, she draws lines on his back. Okay. So now she is drawing out our inner essence. And it is actually a as above, as below type thing. Instead of, and the canvas is our back, the back door to us. She's drawing us, she's using us as her canvas. Okay. And now as Tim was trying to draw out her inner essence, what is it mean to have a symbolic extraction from us? What is she extracting? Our inner essence with the trade. I mean, it's a trade. I mean, it's just beautiful. And now remember, we were drawing her. Now she's using us as her canvas.
Well, this again really parallels my experience with this process, because I oftentimes feel like what I'm drawing in the model is myself. And so this reversal just very much feels like what the process is intended to uncover.
She's drawing, if you are drawing yourself when you draw them, she is drawing herself when she draws on you or something. I mean, it's a symmetrical operation. However you describe it, she's doing the same thing as a symmetrical process, but except you are the canvas, not a piece of paper. And it's just, that part is very mysterious and leads to the second part, the obligation. I mean, it's just the second part. You could call it, what is our obligation? I mean, it's a very mysterious. Roy, what do you think?
This dream reminds me a little bit of that dream Tim had, No Passage, where he had this Iranian woman's journal or something. He was going through it, and this man took it away from Tim, and he was supposed to have a pass. Tim was supposed to have a pass, and a robot came along and told him to bend over. And Tim's getting all freaked out. What the heck's going on? Well, in this dream, he's doubling over. The back room, Tim's back. And I don't know, it just seems a little shady, all this back stuff. And somebody doing something on your back, it certainly isn't up front, a little nefarious to me.
Unaware, the ego's unaware of it, can't see it.
It's hidden from the ego, so it's sort of shadowy from the ego's perspective. And in the second part, he doesn't remember this guy. That's sort of shadowy. And the guys, oh, no problem. You signed this check. Can you imagine signing something that the shadow hands you and it's going to be some kind of obligation? You're going to sign it. You don't even know the guy. I mean, this is pretty shadowy stuff. I don't know. I don't get good vibes from it personally. Just some ideas.
Yeah. Well, that's very good. I think Tim, why don't you tell us some thoughts and then let's review it one more time.
Well, boy, I think, Roy, you're really onto something. There is a lot of shady stuff here. And one of the things that disturbs me is this check is on plastic.
Mhm.
And, you know, my association with plastic is it's just a kind of solid poison. You know, it never becomes part of nature. It's a constructed thing that is kind of false. And so there's something about it that is just really kind of distasteful. I think you hit it, Roy.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I would say that there is, let's just put it this, you could say that the shady aspect is that it is all unknown. Now, I don't think that by shady, I don't sense anything here that is evil. You know, I just think it's a lot of stuff that is far away from ego consciousness. Ego consciousness is very unfamiliar with it. I mean, go ahead, Gary. Or what you
Tim,
saying?
yeah, Tim, I mean, what was the feeling you had at the first part of the dream? I mean, how are you feeling about this? I think that sets the tone of the dream.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a good question. The way I feel about the work generally is I'm curious, but in the dark about it. And it seems like I have the same feeling here. I don't know what the heck we're doing, but maybe something will come out of it. It's a little bit like alchemy. You're just sort of putting stuff together and throwing a fire on it and see what happens.
Well, I mean, to me, it sounds like, okay, we're going to do this, but it's all beyond my control. And so again, that sounds like it's without the ego. I just don't see the negative aspect of it.
Well, how do you explain the darkness then?
Well, the darkness is because this is all the inferior function. This doesn't have sight. This is like feeling of things being done on the back. And it's the back room. And even later on, it's like, you can't locate things. And you can't locate things because you're not in the conscious, you're in the dark space, you're in the area without the continuous ability to discern.
In alchemy, the negredo or the blackness is due to the fact that we're unaware of it. It's something that heretofore it's the ego consciousness has had no knowledge of. It's the unseen which has suddenly become visible, but it is in the negredo or the prima materia state of darkness. Now, the way to lighten it is to meditate upon it. And as we meditate on it, we add whiteness to it. We add albedo. The albedo aspect is the spiritual aspect of meaning and structure too. It provides some order for the chaos of the blackness and the negredo state. But the blackness and the negredo state is substantial. It is substance. The ordering of ego and light attention has no substance, and yet it provides differentiation. So the actual matter and substance is provided by the blackness, and it's black because it suddenly appeared. And yeah, Dawn, you're sleepy too. Everybody's sleeping. Okay. But yeah, we'll see. Dawn, I wish you would bring us one of your fabulous dreams too, because I want to work on one of your dreams as soon as you have one, or an old one if you want. But anyway, I think that's the aspect. I mean, the whole thing is you've had some shadow dreams, wrestling with some guy, and you want to stick him in the. What was that deal about? You want to stab him with a knife, and you're in a fight with them. All of this one is about it is about, now, okay, describe the aspect of active modeling, which seems to be active imagination. Can you describe that a little bit more? I mean, because that's what this whole thing seems to be about, is active modeling and active imagination are the same thing.
Yeah, the practice of figure drawing is just about trying to replicate the shape of the person you see in front of you. And what I started to do a few years ago, this active modeling, is encountering the psyche of the person, so that you're not just a camera, you are a sensitive, alive human being, and their psyche is what you're drawing. So it's like your projection. So with every session, even with the same model, I have a different kind of experience, because both of us are in a different psychic space. So it's much more like psychotherapy.
Don't you think the unconscious is doing a riff on that?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, they are taking that thing and say, how about us doing an active imagination on you? You know, and we're going to withdraw your essence. Now, first of all, it's very mysterious, this symbolic extraction. It's all done behind our back in the room in the back, but that's their only open door to us, which Gary was calling the inferior function. They don't have any way. They can't go through the front door. And why can't they go through the front door? Because at that point, they're obliterated by the light of the harsh light of outward reality that shuts out these. The only way these images come visible is for deep meditation. You have to really quiet what Jung called, actually it was Pierre Janet started the word for this, which is l'abaissement du niveau mental, which means it's a lowering of the consciousness. At that point, suddenly you start to see these images, you know. So that's always figuratively comes in the back door, it's in the back of the house, it's done behind our back, you know. I mean, that's what they say about you return to Eden by the river that was at your back when you left. So yes, it's all done behind our back. And that's because we can't see it with these two eyes. You know, you have to see it with the eye of the heart or some other eye, you know, the eye of love or some other eye than the thinking function, the one that's right up here with the head, you know. So that part is that shadiness. I mean, to me, it's just they're doing a riff on this magical process you're doing. Okay, that's the first part. And then the second part is that figure there that we're doing work with is a pretty, who do you think it is? I mean, I don't think it's a shadow figure. It's like almost a divine figure. You know, where did he get the black? Now, see, the black, I'm saying the check is black because it comes from his world. So it does not have the light of ego. It's a negredo, prima materia. It is a obligation that the unconscious wants us to sign. Now, Roy says that's a little shady. It just depends on, do we want to have a relationship with the unconscious or not? If we think it's dangerous and that we shouldn't do it, we shouldn't sign the thing. Or is he the devil? You know, I mean, that's, I think, is the inference or the shadow, but I don't think I do see any diabolical aspects in his character. I don't know. Roy, what do you think? Now, sometimes when you say shady, that means it's on the unconscious. When you say shadow, you know, it's actually is the shadow. Let's make that clear. Is that thing that it is, the shadow is formed by the light of the ego. You know, the light of the ego creates a shadow, and that is that part of our personality and our ego that we don't like. Okay, that's one type of one type of darkness. There is another type of darkness which is not related to ego at all. That's the Great Mother and her realm, and the realm of imagination, and the realm of images, and the realm of the ancestors, and the place where dreams come from. And that's not related to ego at all. And it's basically it's nature and the body, that darkness, you know. What do you think about darkness, Roy? I mean, that's my understanding of darkness. Could you add some aspects of what you consider to be dark and black?
Well, a basement during the vow is, as I understand it, is loss of soul, which is depression, which is dark. But we have to go through that darkness to find the light. So that's one form of dark. And for most people, the shadow is shady. And if we're talking about Al Capone, that doesn't apply. But in general, people's shadow is shady. And why is that? Because we don't like to express our dark things. We sort of repress them or don't project them. You know, that's not us. And we can easily find somebody to carry that darkness. So that's some of my concepts on darkness.
Yeah. Now, the shadow, though, remember, is the dark aspects of ego consciousness. The Great Mother is very dark too, but that has nothing to do with ego. But one thing you did say is the l'abasement du niveau mental is a depression. It's the opposite of an inflation, okay? There's depression and inflation are two sides of the same thing. The depression is what Marie-Louise von Franz was saying. We were actually talking about this today because our grandson is, you know, we just want him to, he's all full of himself, you know. And, you know, she just went through, she would talk about the 12 steps. And I said, you know, if he went through the 12 steps, I said, but I don't think he will ever, I said, Marie-Louise von Franz says a depression is very helpful because it forces us to look inward for the first time. It softens us up. And we know we can't look outward for help anymore because we're in a depression. So at this point, we have to look inward for help, you know. Now, as far as this darkness, every aspect of darkness and blackness in this dream, I don't think is in ego consciousness. So it's I don't see it that it's shadow of, let's say, the negative aspects of ego consciousness that we don't like, that we hate. I mean, is there anything in this dream that we hate? I don't think so. I think there's these things in this dream that we need to learn from, you know, which are dark. And the reason they're dark is, well, you know, because God is dark too. God is not light. You know, he's very dark. He's dark and light. He's not, that's what Jung said about Jesus. Your God is all light. That's not God. You know, our God is both dark and light. You know, the darkness is the mother realm. You know, anyway, I think this dream has to do with active imagination and active modeling, and is sort of a riff on that. But any what do you think, Tim? I mean, I really think it's a beautiful taking your active modeling sessions and saying, yes, you do active modeling. Why don't you do that with us? Why don't you do that with us?
Yeah, I think that's right on.
And it's
calling for more meditation on it.
It's taking us seriously. And we have negotiable instruments too, but they're not yours. Now, the fact that it's plastic, how do you know that it was plastic? It just looked plastic? It looked transparent, like, didn't it? Didn't you say it was thin?
No, it looked like a
Plastic.
garbage bag or something.
Okay, it was just dark, black, and shiny. Okay. Yeah, well, I can't say too much about that because it's not exactly positive, but it's the fact that it's black is what was the most important to me. Well, anyway, do either Gary or Roy have a dream, or we can do another one of mine if you want.
Well, I just maybe I'll ask Tim this.
Yeah,
Do you
okay.
see any relation between the no passage dream, like you were subjected to this thing, you didn't have a pass? I don't know if it's you're passive or you don't have passion. You don't have a pass, and they were taking control of you, and you had to submit. And in this dream, there's a certain amount of they're sort of taking control of the situation, and you're in the back room, and they're doing something with your back, and then this black plastic, just sign here. I mean, it looks like you're not in control at all. Now, if you're going to switch your art into the direction of you're going to get in the person's psyche, you're going to project on that person and have a psychic interaction, there might be a price to be paid for that. I'm sure the psyche is not going to stand by when that sort of thing goes on because it's not normal. The normal thing is just to be like a camera, just to draw the form. But you've taken it to another depth. Now, do you have a pass to do that? Can you do that without passion? Can you do that passively? You see how I'm hooking all this up? Does this make any sense? I mean, I'm drawing a story here, a different kind of story.
Well, that's a good thing to think about. It seems like I'm bringing passion into it, and that I have a past because I've been writing about it for years and years. But I get your point that this is a different world and the economy is different. Maybe the economy is reversed, and so the attention has to be paid, and I think it really calls for a certain humility and maybe some kind of ritual gift of some kind.
Yeah. Well, Roy bringing those up, it's very important because in those dreams, ego feels helpless, and it when you really get into something like that, that means that they're really trying to tell you, ego cannot help you here. Can we get this through your head? The ego is not going to be able to. Ego by itself, doing whatever it is, using willful control, is not going to be able to become whole all by itself. Okay? And what it usually does is it puts us in some trap, and we can't get out. And what that was trying to do, I think, was trying to show that there is no way out with ego here. In this thing, it doesn't seem like you're have any anxiety. Do you have anxiety in this thing? I don't know.
I don't
Doesn't
think so.
seem like there's a lot of anxiousness. But anyway, I mean, I'm just saying that it has that that in this dream, I just think it's a beautiful image of the of your what active modeling means in the inner world, and the obligation we have to the inner world. I mean, I feel one thing, I don't know, I'm just getting more and more that the obligation to the inner world is very necessary for this work. Roy, did you have a dream that you want to discuss, or Gary?
I can send
Okay,
you
well,
one.
What you go ahead. What did you say, Roy?
I said I can send you one if you.
Well, why don't we do it, or we can do one of mine if you
We'll
want.
do one of yours. I'll send you
Okay,
one while
sure.
we're playing around.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
bet.
well, I mean,
I think Tim had another dream too.
oh yeah, well, go ahead, Tim. If you have another dream, I mean, let's follow up on this one.
Well, golly, I don't want to just
No, go ahead.
hog
Well,
here.
Charles is gone. Charles was restless, you know, and so.
Well, I did have a really interesting
Yeah,
experience.
well, let's hear it.
I've recently become aware of these dolmens
Oh yes,
very close to where I live.
Let's hear
And-
about the Dolmens.
So I've been dreaming about these things, and it's a kind of a weird departure from normal dreams in that there aren't very many symbols here, but to me, there is some great power in these big stones. So a dolmen is basically two uprights and a lintel on top. And these things close by here, there's one place where there's about 14 of them in a very limited space, about 100 yards or so. And I've spent some time down there this last couple of weeks, just being astonished at these things. I can show you some. Well, I had some pictures here, but anyway, so I've had, I think, 3 dreams about these dolmens, and the context is I'm sharing these photos on social media. And in the first dream, it had something to do with libido. So I have there we go. Yeah, that's one of them. So I'm sharing these photos on the internet somehow in some social media platform. And I've got an erection. And when I send these photos, whoever sees them gets an erection. And so there's some kind of powerful, earth energy here and really strong libido. There's another photo, maybe I can draw it up here, that is very phallic. And I think this image appeared in my dream. I can't really remember, but there are at least 3 dreams that have this same sort of theme. I'm sharing the images, and there's this, here it is. This is about 9 feet high. And I can't remember if I was sharing this particular photo, but when I wake up from the dream, I'm thinking, man, there's that one really phallic stone sticking up.
Yeah,
So-
there's, now, let me ask you this. I mean, you're going to give us a dream, but I just want to hear what everybody has to say. What do you think? Now, the phallic symbol has been showing up. It's very interesting that in Jewish religion and in the Hindu religion, in the Jewish religion, there is the ritual of circumcision. And in the Hindu religion, the most sacred sanctuary of the Hindu temple is the lingam and the yoni. The lingam is the phallus, and the yoni is the feminine organ. Okay. Now, these are what do you think the unconscious thinks of these as symbolic areas? They are not taking it literally like we do. They don't take it literally. The word metaphor literally means transformation, to transform something. So the metaphor of the lingam and the yoni means something far different in the inner world than they do in the literal outer world. where there's shame and guilt and desire without love and self-erotic desires and pleasures. That's not the inner world at all. It has zero to do with the meaning, the ancient primordial meaning. Now, also, words aren't so important, okay? Before there was a lot of words, when you would see, okay, what was so important, remember that the name of the Golden Bough, you know, the book that James Fraser wrote, was The King Must Die. Okay, that was the name of the book. And before it became the Golden Bough. And what it had to do with was ancient fertility rites. Okay, you know, the king and the queen would, in a furrow, in the it was absolutely important every year that there was crops or game or some kind of meat to be produced. Okay, now this all has to do with if thou wouldst moisten this dry earth. Okay, that means that our inner world is a world of dry stones, and it needs the water of life, and it needs the generation of masculine energy and feminine energy, which, by the way, have nothing to do with male gender or female gender. Okay, there's as much masculine energy in a woman as there is in a man. She's less conscious of it. There's as much feminine energy in a man as there is in a woman, yet he's less conscious of the feminine aspect. So anyway, when we're talking about phallic images, and again, I think this is somewhat like the ritual extraction dream that you had. Remember, Von Franz says that a grounded American is going to have the same dreams as the people who lived in that landscape in ages past. You know, Jung used to say that I can take Chinese people to Switzerland and Switzerland people to China, and after a few generations, the Chinese will start having Swiss dreams based on the mountains they live in, and the Swiss will have dreams of Chinese. But anyway, these dolmens are now speaking to you as part of the landscape there. So now you have become grounded in the landscape you live in. Okay, all right. Anyway, enough of that. Let's look at the dream. Why don't you, let's go over the dream one more time here. Let's see if I can.
So the first one's called Dolmen Directions. I'm making a post about the dolmen, erect local stones, and there is some connection with my libido. I know I not only have an erection at the time, but that libido energy is passed along to others along with each post, including a post on the 100-day anniversary and other significant timestamps.
What's the 100-day anniversary of?
Well, that's a big deal in like Chinese culture.
Oh,
it's not such a big thing here, but for some reason that just appeared in the dream.
Okay. Well, do you want to do the first one first? Okay, now you're making a post about the dolmen, the erect local stones. So in other words, the unconscious, now remember, this is the dream maker making this dream, you know, and it is saying that these erect, there's some connection with my libido. So it means, are you softening this up? Are you saying that when you see these stones you in the dream, you become aroused, you have an erection, and that other people also have erections? So the image of the this is something like the obelisk of the of 2001: A Space Odyssey. You know, it is, when it comes, everyone gets the same message. Now, in this case, the message is of the creative energy of the masculine, the creative aspect of masculine energy. Now, the creative aspect of masculine energy normally means that it is the seed bearer of the an egg. You know, I mean, it's going to be bringing some kind of a shower of you know, it is just an aspect. Now this, first of all, this is a very elemental dream. And Roy is expert at elemental dreams, but now this is a different type of elemental dream. It's very related to the instinctive realms, but in this case, it represents the instinctive aspects of our body, over which we have no control, you know. And so it's the animal aspect of us. Gary, what do you think? It's now as the elemental aspect of this dream, and it's awoken by the image in the outer world of this, this is the God phallus, okay? And when we see the God, this creative male energy that has to do with the inner world, does not have to do with our own self-erotic pleasures, is awakening that creative energy in us. Now, first of all, that's a very mysterious aspect that we're going to have to explore carefully, because it is not profane at all. What do you think, Gary?
So if we look at the root chakra, you know, that's where the sexual energy and the, you know, the libido is located. And
Second chakra.
in the root chakra.
Yeah. Oh, the root chakra. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the first one. And, you know, and that's, you know, and that's also, I think, the, you know, our connection to the earth. And in the connection to the earth, it finds its symbol in the dolmen. So he finds that in making this connection, his post, which in a way you can think of his post as his, you know, his artistic expression, is now understood in the same form, and he passes the libido. He passes, you know, the pure form of it is transmitted, that connection to the earth. That's how I see it.
Well,
Passing the connection to the earth, or the connection to the earth passing along to somebody?
Because of your connection to the earth, and because, you know, the symbol for that is in the dolmen, but because the connection is true, because the connection is effective, you are now able to communicate that in its same form to other people. And so it affects them in the same way.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about the elemental? Now, see, what really is the magical aspect of the dream for me, and I want to hear what Roy has to say about it, is a magical aspect of an animal dream. Okay. But in this case, the magical aspect of an elemental figure of really cosmic generation. I mean, what does the outer dolmen represent other than cosmic creation? Now, see, let's look at the Earth. If it was just Mars and some place, some planet came up to, or some spaceship from another planet comes up and sees the dead planet Earth. There's no life on it. But it is not the dead planet, it is Earth. It is a Earth that has teeming life all over it. Okay. And what is one of the, of life itself, of the elemental force of life? What does the phallus represent? It represents the perpetuation and the cosmic energy of life itself. You know, so it is a aspect. It is close to the water of life. You know, but it has to do with the perpetuation of the life force within us. You know, and within the psyche. Now, isn't that interesting that and part of the psyche, part of our wholeness has to do with the symbol of the ancient, primordial, elemental symbol, which is similar to the shoebill stork, some of the other images of the cosmic generator of the phallus. It's a very different from an animal dream, but it is similar in its primordial elemental aspect. What do you think, Roy?
This is my realm.
Yeah, I guess you.
I like it because we got some passion out of Tim. No words here, body, real passion. He's responding to the primal thing that is so old. I'm going to read you this quote. This is from the Terrarium Organum, the third canon of thought, a key to the enigmas of the world by P.D. Ouspensky. Love opens up in man sides he was not aware of in himself. There's much in love of the Stone Age and also of the witch's Sabbath. Many men cannot be pushed by anything but love to crime, to treason. Only love can bring forth in them deeply hidden feelings, which they consider long extinct in themselves. In love, there's concealed a tremendous amount of egotism, vanity, and self-pride. Love is a great force that tears off all masks. And people who run away from love run away in order to keep their mask.
I'm sorry, in order to keep their what?
Their mask, M-A-S-K-S.
Oh, their mask, okay.
Boy, that's a beautiful quote.
Now, this is primal stuff here, and Tim can respond to that, just no problem here. It's natural.
Yeah, it's an elemental image, and it has nothing to do with our sexual desire. It has to do with something about the life force. As
it has a lot to do with
body.
sexual desire. Come on. How did we all get here? I mean,
yeah,
what happened to the pagan era, man? Come on. We got thousands of years of relation to the sexual aspect. I mean, it's the biggest part of it. You take that away, you don't have anything, Craig. Come on. You're talking to the shoebill stork here.
Yes, but it has to do with the conjunctio of the body.
When did the conjunctio come in? With the alchemists. That's the last 10 seconds of humanity.
Yes, I get it, what you're saying. Now, because the sexual aspect in the ancient realm was divine. And we've really made it into something else in our current world. But it's so, what I liked what you said initially, Roy, is how it got passion in Tim. Tim, what do you think? How primordial this is compared to your other dreams?
Well, I also did an active imagination on this morning and did a long dialogue between myself and the Dolmens. And they kind of laughed at the scale of human life. You know, they kind of said, your lives are so small that we can't even see what's going on. But what they talked to me about was gravity and how incredibly powerful gravity is. And it came across to me like, this is the love of the cosmos, because all things are attracted to each other. And the stones are dancing with each other, and they're dancing with the planet. And what I'm experiencing, according to their voice, is I get to participate for one brief instant in this great kind of sexual romp that they are experiencing for all eternity. And in the time scale of the planet, these parts, these stony parts are moving and changing and rubbing against each other and combining. So it's a very, very kind of sexual elaboration of what we tend to moralize and turn into this sort of, Christian embarrassment.
Yeah, which I was kind of trying to do before. Roy, why don't you again describe what you said, and without me say what you said just again, because I think it's your realm. It's the primordial realm. Let's say that there have been non-knuckle walking hominids on Earth for the last, say, 4.5 million years. There have been Homo sapiens for maybe 400,000 years, and these images are related to the water of life, this sexual energy. But now, why don't you again describe it, Roy? Because I think you're closer to it than any of us.
I don't know how many people's read old literature back during Roman times, the Stone Age. I mean, even in North America, there's cave paintings, and you can go back, and as you go back, you see penises and people making love and pregnant women and all this stuff. And then later on, you see war clubs and axes and people being beheaded and stuff like that. All this other stuff's gone. This is where everything started from. This is the holy sacred stuff. And we've whitewashed it and turned it into murder and whitewash. I'm getting back to the basic. I know what I'm talking about. I'm sticking with this.
What does it mean for a king if he's impotent? I mean, that was where the king must die. If the king becomes impotent, then he's no longer then the life force of the cultural group is now threatened, and he needs to be done away with. They need to always have a very virile member at the head of the group. If that head of the group is not virile, then neither is the life force of the community itself. So that aspect of the virility aspect represents the what is it they call it, the inexhaustible energy of life, invincible. Now that's what the phallus represents to some extent. Is the cornucopia. If that member is not virile, then there's no creative. Where is the creative energy at that point? I mean, where are we at the point if everybody's walking around impotent at that point? I just had this. I put this little thing about the phallus. This comes from Sirlo. Is the masculine creative principle, the procreative, generative forces of nature and the human race, the function and potency of the creator. Now, remember, in Genesis, Yahweh stirs the sea, the unconscious sea, which is the feminine. What's he stirring it with? He's stirring it with the phallus. Okay, he's stirring it with the phallus, and that's, he's fertilizing it. So it's an apotropaic symbol. Okay, you see the dolmen, you get an erection. That's what apotropaic means. You can't. sailors on the Black Sea would never call it the Black Sea, because if they call it the Black Sea, they know they would die in a shipwreck, so they had to use a different name for it. But and if phallic figures, now this was Hermes, the guardian at all crossroads, this came up in one of Tim's dreams too, represents imparting life to man and nature, fertility, procreation, potency. They too are apotropaic. The name of that, all those things, fertility, procreation, potency, are apotropaic. They are energies within us. They're not necessarily. Now this is the elemental aspect that Roy's discussing. Phallic symbols are the linga, the Hindu representation of Shiva as creator, the pillar, the obelisk, anything piercing or penetrating, such as the sword, lance, or arrow. But that which pierces also destroys, and Shiva is both the creator and the destroyer. In Celtic art, the head surmounting a pillar is always phallic, there being a traditional Celtic association between head and phallus, both being power and representing fertility. They can also be apotropaic. The phallus was used in Egypt and Greco-Roman cemeteries as a symbol of resurrection and renewal of life, and it can be merely physical in its symbolism as the worship of Priapus, or be spiritual in significance as of an English. Anyway, it's very interesting that this is appearing in your dreams. Let's look at the second dream.
Now, before you go on, one thing I would like to say is, what's interesting is, Tim's active imagination with this had just the, incredibly elemental things that Roy was talking about, the creation of the universe, of life.
Repeat that again. Could you repeat that again, your active imagination, Tim, just one more time?
Well, it went on for several pages, but basically the stones were talking about how gravity is the essence, sort of the libido of the mineral world. And I got this real sense that the stones concept of sex is coming together with other stones in the process of the formation of the earth, however that happens in many, many different ways. So it just really reiterated what Roy just talked about, that beautiful quotation he read.
You know what Marion Woodman says, that this age that we live in is the age of matter becoming conscious, okay? And she says that all matter is trying to become conscious, and so it all has a creative force in it, and she says it's shown by how material our world is. We all want things. We want, everybody is worried about material things now. That's because they recognize that matter is becoming conscious. What Pierre Teilhard de Chardin said, that matter is psyche that's slowed down enough so you can see it. And what the consciousness is, according to Marion Woodman, is Sophia. She is trapped in matter. And so to make matter conscious, you make Sophia visible or something, So anyway, it's the fact, now the one thing I just overwhelmed with is all of this dream series that you had, Tim. This is the most, the only other elemental dream you had was about all of those animals. This is as elemental as you can get. Now, Roy is the expert of elemental dreams. Roy's dreams are about the God is an animal. I mean, the God is a God animal. A God. Now, why does it have to be human? You know, I mean, that's another thing. Is God human? Is nature human? You know, I mean, it produces all these species. Why would it have to be human? You know, I think that there is a master animal in us that is human. You know, I think that as there's a master animal in bear that is a bear, you know, so but the force behind the master animal that is a bear, or the master animal that's a snake, or the master animal that's a human, is not any one of those three species. You know, it's something else. But I mean, Tim, this is if you put this in the dream series of all of your dream series, it fits for one thing. What Roy, do you think it fits with the dream?
Yeah,
series?
I was waiting for this. I was waiting for this. He baits me every week, man. I was waiting for this.
Because it is a Roy dream. I mean, but it is absolutely magical. You know, absolutely magical.
Well, this next one.
Yeah, let's go with the next one here quick.
Also has a really primitive element to it. The original campsite. Another Dolmen media post dream featuring some Dolmen campsite. Dolmen, that's supposed to be, that makes the social media rounds, and which picture is reposted each time. My presumption is that there's either an original campsite or perhaps an original arrangement of elements that is repeated in different sites.
Okay.
So what
Another
I'm
dome
is that original campsite is something that comes out of the very roots of human, you know, standing up, where the campsite has these elements like the fire ring, the bed, and maybe the stone that have to come in this arrangement or something like that. So it feels to me like it's just absolutely primitive.
Yeah, what would you think, Gary or Roy, about if you grew up near Stonehenge or Newgrange, and those had been in the background of your life since you were a little boy? What are they? What mysterious realm is that we live in? And don't those speak to us? I mean, if we grew up near Stonehenge and saw those, and let's say one Christmas Eve, we wander out there all by ourselves, and we're alone with those stones. You know, I mean, see, that's the other aspect of the dolmen, the erect dolmen that makes you respond to it, just like the wolf howls when the moon is full. When we see this ancestral symbol of fertility, we are responding as the people who lived at that time responded. So it still has the religious symbolism that it did, 15 to 30,000 years ago. You know, and so it has also not just the aspect of that it's this cosmic generator, but it also the deep human past. Roy, what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, we got all kind of Stonehenges in North America. There's Serpent Mound. There's bunches of them. They have the same thing as Stonehenge. They have to do with the fall equinox and the spring equinox and the North Star. They orientate towards that and directions towards that and rituals around that. Same thing all over the world. We got a bunch of them here in this country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
these are symbolic things. These things were erected to orientate to something in nature. You see in the sky, the stars of the seasons. they're all the same when you study them and you excavate them. They're the same in all the sites. They're pointing to something, and they have similar rituals that they relate to.
Now, how about you, Gary? Do you have a sense of the the sense I'm having is you got this dream series of Tim, and then suddenly you have this one with the deep ancestral past, and it still speaks to us.
Let's
Oh
go
my
back
God. Yeah.
to his original, act of imagination that he did with this. And this dream, I think this is just an absolute reflection of it, because in the act of imagination, the dolmen speaks to him of the continual coming together, the rubbing, the recreation. And what is this social media thing, which is reposted again and again? So, it speaks to the aliveness, the recreation, the ongoing nature of it.
Yeah, these last two dreams, I mean the three dreams, I'm thinking is first is they are they're deep, big dreams, and they're they resound with the deepest drum. I mean, this is a drum that is very deep. I mean, its resonance is. I mean, I don't know, Tim. Let's say that we tried to live with the wisdom of these last three dreams. I mean, God Almighty, yeah, that is a sacred, fruitful place. I mean, what do you think, Roy? I mean, you were to try to make this the central theme of your personal myth, these last three dreams. I mean, they are very I mean, compared with all the other dreams where somehow ego is lost and confused and can't find things and is barred from going places and things like that. Now here it's just like something dropped open. We dropped in to another realm where all that stuff is bullshit. Here is we are going to reveal to you. We're going to unveil the deepest secrets. Unveiled, unvarnished. This is the truth of life. Maybe not the truth of your ego, but it's the truth of life, that you're revealing. And it might not be a human truth either. What do you think, Roy?
Well, if I heard Gary right about the social posting and the internet, it's just amazing how the collective unconscious has got on the internet. And we can post a picture of a dolmen, which maybe nobody's seen or nobody's thought about. And if it wasn't for the internet, that would remain the same. And so these things can pop up on the internet and click something really powerful in us that's deep in us in the archaic part of our brain stem. It just blow us away. Whoa, we have an erection or whatever, man. It's just cognitive dissonance or something, man. It's something about this. I don't know where this came from, but I got to research some more on this. This thing is really getting to me. It can make me have dreams and all kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I'd say that's a great point about the post on social media is actually we've pulled a string on the harp of the collective unconscious. I mean, what we did is we just strummed it when we did that, and that resonance sounded a lot of different places. And I think that's what you're saying is the unconscious has is using that symbol of that you pull a string on a harp and it vibrates everywhere. You know, from pulling the string on that harp, the same harp 100 miles away, that sounds too, you know, from that. It's just beautiful. You know, well, I'm kind of tired tonight too, guys. I'm sorry. I was kind of, I mean, we drove from 5 in the morning until about 5 at night, and
Did you
we were
make any
determined
stops?
we were going to get home.
Did you make any stops at all? I mean, wow.
Oh,
I mean, that's
yeah.
12 hours.
Gotta
That's
stop
like
every couple hours. We're
70.
We're weaklings.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But I mean, that's like, you must have been driving fast.
Well, you know, we averaged 73 miles an hour. With all
Oh,
the
wow.
stops too. So
So
anyway,
so-
well, let's have some Gary and Roy dreams, and hopefully Charles won't be so restless. You know, he's got to make this decision to go to New Orleans, and his current boss is begging him not to leave, and he doesn't want to hurt him because he was so nice to him. But over here, he's going to be making almost $30 an hour. You know, so he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, you
But
got to
what
go
I
with the
told him is
money
this.
there, I think.
Yeah, what I told him is this. What Young said about the Puer, he said, I don't care what you do anything but do it, because it's going to put you in reality. You need to do it, and I don't care how boring it is, you do it daily, every day. That's how you cure the Puer. You know? Well,
So-
anyway, thanks everybody. I'm just gonna go in and just go to sleep right now. So Tim, thank you for these fascinating dreams.
Say, Craig,
Absolutely.
tell me how far you got into Montana.
Oh, we didn't get very far. We did go through Billings, but we didn't go to Bozeman, but we were just south of Bozeman.
You just came up through the
Gardner.
park and went through
You know where
Livingston.
Gardner, Montana is?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we were staying, is right near Gardner.
Oh, yeah.
And that was where Amy went for a horseback ride yesterday. And I said, you know, I have a radical idea. Why don't after dinner, because she has to be somewhere tomorrow morning. I said, after dinner, I'll just, let's just go. This was like 6 o'clock. She said, I have an even more radical idea. Let's leave after the horse ride. So well, anyway, she'll be able to go to her thing tomorrow. So,
Oh, great.
all right. Well, thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
This was educational for me. And Roy, we need more education on elemental dreams. And I'll stop being so embarrassed and shy about that. Okay.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, guys. Okay. Bye-bye.